Welcome back, everybody. I know it's still college football season. The Big Ten's having an amazing football season with Michigan and Ohio State having made the playoff. But it's time to start talking about some basketball. The Big Ten, we all know the drought. 20 years running, 21 years, I think, since the Big Ten's last national championship. The Big Ten has had consistently strong teams every single year and has been a deep conference in college basketball every single year, but cannot put a team to the top. I'm not sure that changes this year, but I do know that the Big Ten is once again deep and talented, like pretty much every single season. And I'm going to go break down the early season power rankings that I have created for the Big Ten. So number 14, we're going to go 14-1. Minnesota, the Golden Gophers, currently 4-4, 0-1 in Big Ten play, with that loss being an 89-70 game against Purdue. Tough game. That was on the road. 2021-22 record you see was 13-17, 4-16. We're in Ben Johnson's second year. Results don't need to be immediate, but there should be a step forward from this team. Jamison Battle is back. Best player last year. He averaged 17.5. He did have foot surgery right before the season started and missed the first 4 games, which did contribute, in my opinion, probably to the loss to DePaul and close wins over Western Michigan and Central Michigan. He got back, though, and Minnesota still hasn't been great. Lost at UNLV, barely beat Cal Baptist. 2 straight losses going to their game against Michigan early this week. And you see this, you see why. I mean, they lost Peyton Willis, E.J. Stevens, Luke Lowy, and Eric Curry from a team that already wasn't very deep last year. They did add Dawson Garcia, who was a really good player at Marquette and then went to North Carolina and wasn't as good. But he's a good guard for that team. And they also added Talon Cooper from Morehead State, who's another solid guard. The team is weak in the middle. I'm not seeing where all the offense is coming from with beyond Battle and Garcia. It's going to be a long year for Minnesota fans, as it has been for a while, sadly. Since Richard Pitino's first couple years, this has been a struggling team. Number 13, the Nebraska Cornhuskers. I had Nebraska at number 14 in this conference up until about a couple days ago. The team has suddenly turned things around. I mean, they beat Creighton on Sunday 63-53, and they demolished Boston College in the Big Ten ACC Challenge. Before that, they were 4-3 and fledgling. But this is a team that looks like it's starting to put things together. Fred Hoiberg needs this badly. The team was 10-22 last year. And it's getting back some good players. CJ Wilcher, Derek Walker are 2 starters, and you get good guard play and good forward play there. And then Casey Tominaga, good spark player last year, continues to be so this year. They did lose the McGowan's brothers, Bryce McGowan, to the draft. Alonzo Virch was their leading scorer. So this is a team that is depleted for sure. And they tried to add to the transfer portal with Emmanuel Bandumel from SMU and Sam Griesel. This is a team that won't be too good this year, in my opinion, but promising to have beaten Creighton and demolished Boston College. And I think they'll be competitive and win more than 4 games in the Big Ten this year. Penn State at 12. They're currently 6-2. This is Micah Shrewsbury's second year. They had a lot of success last year. I know it didn't translate to wins, but this was a very competitive team in the Big Ten last year. And a tournament team if everything goes right this year. They're bringing back good talent from Jalen Pickett and Seth Lundy, the 2 leading scorers. Miles Dredd's a lethal shooter when he gets going. And then they added Cameron Winter from Drexel, which was a huge transfer addition. Really big transfer addition for them. He had 26 points in their close loss to Clemson in the Big Ten ACC Challenge. And Penn State went on, and they're 6-2 right now. It hasn't been amazing, but a good win to Butler and a close loss to VTech. I think they'll be solid. I really do. They did lose John Harr and Sam Sessoms, so serious losses, but returning Pickett, Lundy, and Dredd and adding Winter, this is a team with a very solid core. Number 11, we've got the Northwestern Wildcats. Currently 6-2, 1-0 in the Big Ten with a pretty surprising win over Michigan State. In 2021, a lot of close losses. This team could have been way better. And now it's losing Pete Nance and Ryan Young. Pete Nance went to North Carolina. Ryan Young went to Duke. They're probably 2 best players last year. 2 front court guys that were huge. But Northwestern returns a ton of strength on the wing. Boo Buie's their stud point guard. Really fun player to watch. He's going to be electric in the Big Ten. And then Chase Audige, another talented guy. Ty Berry was another great guard for them last year. And Julian Roper is also coming back. So the guard play will be very good. The problem is down low. You get Robbie Barron back, who's not much of a traditional center. He's a stretch four. And you don't have a lot of talent beyond that. Titus Verhoeven is coming in. He went to UTEP for 3 years. Good big body, but not a lot of production, really. Not a lot of Big Ten level talent down there for Northwestern. But they beat Michigan State. They are a good team. A really close loss to Auburn was the one other loss, and they also lost in a weird blowout to Pitt. Not sure what happened in that game, but I think this is a team that will be very interesting this year. Number 10, Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Currently 5-1. Rutgers, just very solid under Steve Peichel. He's been really good for that team. And this is a team that is actually 1-0 in Big Ten play, which is not mentioned there. They beat Indiana 63-48 on Saturday. That's an impressive win. They're getting back a lot of good players. Caleb McConnell, Andre Hyatt, Cliff O'Murray, and Paul Mulcahy. That's a good core. But they are losing Geo Baker and Ron Harper Jr., which is why they're ranked 10. This is a team that made the tournament last year. But losing Baker and Harper, their two best players, they're two veterans, and the guys that took the shots when the games were on the line. Baker and Harper hit so many big shots for this program. Without them, I don't know where that scoring is going to come from. O'Murray is a great inside player. McConnell will be really good. And they got Cam Spencer, a transfer out of Loyola, Maryland, who early on is playing really well. He's shooting really well from deep, averaging in the double digits. If he can be good and those returners are good, I think Rutgers is a tournament team this year. Number 9, the Michigan Wolverines. Currently 5-3. Last year was a little inconsistent for this team. Lost a lot of talent. Losing Eli Brooks, Devontae Jones, the two really good guards, and then Caleb Houston, Moussa Diabate, the one-and-done players who both entered the NBA after being highly recruited out of high school. Michigan, in their rotation last year, only returned 2 players that got really noticeable minutes. That's Hunter Dickinson and Terrence Williams. Kobe Buffkin is a starter this year, and he got spot minutes last year. But they're returning 2 players, really, from the last year's team. So there will be a lot of pressure put on freshman players like Jet Howard and Doug McDaniel and Terrace Reed. And then the transfer additions, Jalen Llewellyn from Princeton, who just got injured in Michigan's last game, which was a close loss to Kentucky in London. And you're also adding Joey Baker for some shooting from Duke. This is a team with talent. They were close against both Virginia and Kentucky. They could have won either game. Before that, it was an iffy stretch with a blowout loss to Arizona State mixed in with a lot of close wins against weak teams. So, although they have the pedigree, I'm putting Michigan at 9. They were a top 3 Big Ten team coming into the year that hasn't quite lived up to that yet. Still a talented team, still a team that could make a run if things go right. Just at the moment, things aren't clicking. Number 8, we've got the Wisconsin Badgers. Surprise Big Ten champs last year. I'm putting them all the way at 8. I know it feels a little unfair, but it's a team that has lost 2 of the most important players that it had. Johnny Davis was an NBA lottery pick. Brad Davison was at Wisconsin for like 10 years. It's a team that is hurting. They do get a lot of good players back, though. They get Tyler Wall, who will be a force. He'll be an all-Big Ten threat. Chucky Hepburn is going to take a leap forward in his second year as sophomore point guard. You've got Kralback, the big center, really good player. Jordan Davis is Johnny Davis's brother, and I think he will take a step forward this year. And then you've got Max Klesmit, who's coming to Wisconsin, and a good shooter from Wofford. So brings that shooting that Wisconsin pretty much always has. This is a team that will win a lot of games in the Big Ten due to just veteran leadership and good coaching. They beat Marquette, but they lost to Wake Forest during the Big Ten ACC Challenge, have a lot of close games this year. It's a team that's going to play close games. They're not going to run away from you. They're not going to overpower you, but they're going to make you work for your win. And I think very solid team right in the middle of the Big Ten, in my opinion, as Wisconsin at least is. And often they're the best team in the Big Ten. This year's not quite the same as normal for them, but still a very solid team. Number 7, Michigan State Spartans. They're 5-4 on the year. It's been rough recently, but I'm going to chalk a lot of that up to the loss of Malik Hall, who's been out with an ankle injury for a little while. When he's back, they are really good. They're returning so many talented players. Tyson Walker at the point guard spot, Mully Call, AJ Hoggard, another good point guard, Jaden Akins, Matty Sissoko, and Joey Hauser. That's a lot of really good depth from last year. Guys all got good minutes. And this was a tournament team last year. The only losses are important. Max Christie to the NBA, Gabe Brown graduated, Marcus Bingham was a really good center for them. So that will be missed. But this is a team that I think is a tournament-level team. I know they've lost, and it hasn't been pretty. They got blown out by Notre Dame and then lost to Northwestern. But they also have, when Hall has been healthy, impressive games on the docket. They beat Kentucky, super tight loss to Gonzaga. Good game against Alabama, but that was when Hall got hurt. So this is a team I think, when healthy, is very solid. They're at 7 right now, just because the record's not impressive. It's 5-4. They got to get going. But when they do, I think this is a tournament-level team. Tom Izzo, obviously, you don't need to talk too much about him. But with this returning depth, they were a tournament team last year. I don't see how Michigan State misses the tournament when it gets healthy. Number 6, the Iowa Hawkeyes. Key returners, I mean, look at that. Chris Murray is just a beast. He is such a beast. They're 6-1 right now. Things are looking up. They were a tournament team last year. Lost Keegan and Jordan Bohannon. That's 2 big losses. Keegan Murray was an electric player, and he's going to be hard to replace. But Chris Murray is a potential All-Big Ten, even potentially All-American player. He's averaging around 20 and 10 right now on very good shooting. He can space the floor. He can pretty much do anything. He's like his brother. He developed exactly like his brother a year later. Patrick McCaffrey, very solid player. Good offensive player. And then Connor McCaffrey, another good, solid player. Tony Perkins, an explosive guard. Rebraka's back at center. This is a team with a lot of returning depth. Fran McCaffrey has a system he likes. Iowa's going to be tough. They're going to be tough. They're a top-tier Big Ten team, and I think a very solid tournament team. Number 5, Ohio State Buckeyes. They're losing a lot, but Chris Holtmann is a guy that I trust as a coach. Last year, 2012, 12-8 in the Big Ten. But they did lose Malachi Branham, E.J. Liddell, Kyle Young, Jamari Wheeler, and Justin Ahrens. 5 key rotation players. Liddell and Branham were all Big Ten level players. And Kyle Young was a cog, a glue guy, the ultimate glue guy. So you're only getting back, really, Zed Key and Justice Suing from last year's team. Suing was hurt a lot last year. He's a really solid Big Ten player. I think an all Big Ten second or third teamer. Zed Key, a very solid center. And Ohio State has a lot of good freshmen. They've got a lot of freshmen that get minutes. And they added Sean McNeil from West Virginia and Isaac Likekele from Oklahoma State as good veteran players. They've had an impressive year, only really losing to San Diego State and Duke, which both losses are understandable. They beat Texas Tech. I think this will be an inconsistent team, but very tough, very talented. Number 4, the Maryland Terrapins. So far, the success story of the Big Ten is Maryland. And it's been a minute since this team has been kind of a force in basketball. They had their run. Melo Trimble, they were a top seed in the tournament. It's been a while, but Kevin Willard's here. They've got 3 key starters back, Dante Hall, Hakeem Hart, and Julian Reese. Those guys are leaders, all of them good scorers, good players. They did lose Fats Retzel, Eric Ayala, and Chudas Wahab, but this is a team that is clearly firing on all cylinders this year. Beat Illinois this weekend. That was surprising to me. They also have destroyed Maryland and really taken care of their entire schedule as far. So they're at 4. They're 8-0. I mean, currently tied with Wisconsin. That game's going to halftime. But this is a team that I couldn't ignore in these power rankings. Just a dangerous-looking team. And hats off to Kevin Willard for coming in and instituting just a fresh culture for this team, getting guys healthy, getting guys ready to play. And this is a team that is going to make a push in the tournament, in my opinion. I didn't put him ahead of Illinois yet. Illinois is the established good team. Maryland is the upstart right now. A couple more games, if they can head into Big Ten play undefeated, this is a team that will be ranked in the top 3 of the Big Ten power rankings. Number 3, the Illinois Fighting Illini. Brad Underwood has a totally new look team. Totally new look team. Top 5 scorers from last year are gone. Kofi, Alfonso Plummer, the shooter, Trent Frazier, just a great guard, Jacob Grandison, glue guy, Curbelo, the fun little backup point guard, and DeMonte Williams, another kind of glue guy. That's a lot of loss, but it's a team that is also getting back Coleman Hawkins, who's a beast this year, and Dane Danger, who's a great center and who's been really good. He had limited minutes last year, and he didn't play a lot, but this year he's getting big minutes and scoring well, playing very well. They got Matthew Meyer from Baylor and Terrence Shannon from Texas Tech, so just stealing guys from the Big 12, and both those players are going to be really important. Shannon's so far averaging over 20 a game. Meyer, not averaging a ton, but tonight he looked really good against their game, which was in overtime when I started this video. They're currently, I'm not sure if they've won yet, but they were fighting Texas. It was a really good game. Illinois looked really good. I'm confident having them at third in the Big Ten. Brad Underwood just does a great job every year. And they have a lot of freshmen that are very good and get a lot of minutes. You've got guys like Sky Clark, Ty Rogers, guys that are freshmen and just playing really well. So Illinois at number 3. Number 2, Indiana. Indiana was my top Big Ten team until this weekend. They did lose to Rutgers. Not an impressive-looking game for them. I'm not going to overreact too much to that loss. This is a team that looked really good their first 7 games. And Mike Woodson has a really talented roster right now. A lot of good returners. Trace Jackson Davis, one of the favorites for Big Ten Player of the Year, probably third favorite behind Murray and Zach Edey on Purdue. Xavier Johnson, who was popping off at the end of last season. Tamar Bates, Race Thompson, the guy who's been there, I think, now 5 years. Miller Kopp, Northwestern transfer, who played pretty well last year. Then Trey Galloway gets good minutes. 32, he's in the picture right here, number 32. Key losses, they only really lost Parker Stewart and Rob Finney from last year's team. That was a tournament team. They got swamped by St. Mary's in the tournament. But with these guys returning, I think this is the team still that should be considered a favorite in the Big Ten. Favorite to get a top 4 seed in the NCAA tournament. Mike Woodson's a very good coach. Jackson Davis and Johnson are a really good duo. And then Race Thompson, Kopp, Bates, Galloway, those guys all provide great depth. But number 1 is Purdue. Purdue has been just really impressive all year. They're 8-0, 29-8 last year, and they lost a lot last year. They lost Jaden Ivey, Travion Williams, Eric Hunter, Sasha Stefanovic. I mean, losing Ivey and Williams, that's 2 of the most important players on last year's team. Then Stefanovic was that shooter that Purdue seems to always have. Eric Hunter, just a great player. But Purdue has rebounded insanely well. Edey has been dominant. He might be the front runner right now for the Wooden Award and at least the Big Ten Player of the Year. And Brandon Newman, Gillis, and Ethan Morton have been really good. But they've got some freshmen that are playing really well. Foster Loyer, former Michigan State point guard, or Fletcher Loyer, my fault. Former Michigan State point guard Foster Loyer's brother is a really good point guard for this team. And the results bear it out. They've just been dominant. They beat Duke by 19, beat Gonzaga by 18, rolled over West Virginia, Marquette, and they've just looked really good all year. So they're the number 1 team in the Big Ten until further notice. And that's the video, guys. Big Ten's looking very intriguing this year in basketball. We'll see what happens, but thank you for watching.